We're following two breaking stories tonight. A man is in custody for the stabbing death of a woman after an hours-long search. And crews are battling a fatal fire. What the WRAL breaking news tracker is learning live on the scene.
The gap has grown. The race for State Senate leader Phil Berger's seat is coming into focus as more ballots are counted. Where the race stands and the votes we're still waiting on.
A record high temperature and more days in the 80s to come. How long this summer-like feel could last and when showers are expected to dampen your weekend.
Oh boy, what a week. What an end to the week. A lot of breaking news here happening tonight at 7 o'clock. We have an Orange County fugitive captured in Virginia, a death investigation after a fire in Johnston County, and the sheriff beating North Carolina's Senate leader in a primary race widens his margin. We want to get you to weigh in on anything that interests you in this newscast. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Send your questions, your comments, and your feedback. So let's get started here with this breaking news tonight and the end of a manhunt. The man accused of stabbing and killing a woman in his Orange County home is in custody now. He took off after the crime. Investigators had been looking for Matthew Vukmer and his black truck, and they found him. WRAL's Carly Haynes covering this story for us tonight, live in Orange County. Carly, investigators found him in Virginia, but they've been looking for him pretty much throughout the day. Walk us through what happened here.
Well, a lot of new developments just over the past few hours, Dan. We know that Matthew Vukmer is currently in the process of being extradited back to North Carolina to face that first-degree murder charge here in Orange County. Now, deputies shared this photo of Vukmer. They had been looking for him since this morning. Deputies say Vukmer declined to speak with law enforcement and requested an attorney when he was brought into custody. Sky 5 was flying above. It captured the active investigation at his home where he's accused of fatally stabbing Paula Floyd, a woman who had been there to clean his house, according to her family and friends. And we did speak to an old friend of Floyd's who describes how she'll be remembered.
We were always friends and hung out back then, and she was a down-to-earth, just a fun-loving country girl that loved everybody.
And now we know that he's in the process of being extradited back to North Carolina, but still that process could take several weeks. We also know the truck that deputies were looking for has been taken back to the Orange County impound lot. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Orange County.
Okay, thank you to Carly for the latest there. We want to get to some other breaking news tonight. This is a fire on Bird Road in Johnston County. This is just south of Flowers Plantation. The sheriff's office is telling us now that a person is dead. WRAL's Willie Danley joining us live from this scene there on Bird Road. Willie, what do we know?
Well, Dan, we know that there are around 10 acres that were burned here this afternoon. Right now, the fire crews are starting to clear the scene right now, but you can still see way back there in the distance those flashing red and white lights. That's near where fire crews were responding to this fire. I do want to take you to some video that we were able to capture earlier. You can just see the magnitude of this fire. We're told that the person who was killed in this fire was the right hand of the man who owns this property. So it's a very sad situation for all the people who are out here in this area. They do still have a drone up that's just monitoring the area of where that fire burned, making sure nothing has rekindled. But as I said before, those fire trucks are beginning to move out of this area. We are going to continue to follow this story and keep you up to date with any more developments that we find out about that person who passed away here tonight. Willie Danley, WRAL News, live in Johnston County.
Thank you, Willie. The busy night here continues into another breaking story. Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page now leading Senate Leader Phil Berger by 23 votes. That margin was just 2 votes after Election Day. Those provisional ballots counted out in Rockingham and Guilford County now extending Page's lead. We go to WRAL's Grace Holland. She's been in the live center tracking this. So, Grace, Page is ahead, but we are still now well within the margin for a recount.
Yeah, that's kind of an understatement, Dan. I'm going to break down the numbers in a second, but in the last 15 minutes, we got a statement from Sheriff Page saying it is an honor to be chosen by the majority of voters as our party's nominee. We'll keep working hard to win in November and serve the people of Guilford and Rockingham counties. As you said, we went from a 2-vote margin to now this 23-vote lead. But let's look at how close that is. We are talking less than 0.1% separating this as you look at the decimals between 50 and 49% here. They, of course, need a 1% margin in order to not have a recount. And that would have taken, with the same number of votes, a couple hundred votes instead of just 23. So it looks pretty clear that this is going to go to a recount, but we have not heard from Phil Berger yet as to whether he'll request one.
It is just remarkable how close this is. Tens of thousands of votes. They're within a handful. All right, appreciate that, Grace. And another wrinkle to this story, a top elections official says that voter intimidation is now at the center of this Berger-Page race there in Rockingham County. It's a very serious accusation. WRAL state government reporter Caroline Yaffa explains the incident reported to the state.
The allegation over intimidation came as officials were counting provisional ballots to determine whether Sam Page has unseated Senate Leader Phil Berger. Now, voters were going to county offices to correct problems like missing ID or registration errors to make sure their votes count. Election officials say a woman linked to a progressive group approached voters and even recorded them. The top official on the Rockingham Board of Elections says her actions amounted to voter intimidation. Chairman Don Powell says this woman was disrupting voters and workers at the board's Reedsville office.
Every vote that's cast that can legally be counted is going to be counted. They should have the right to come to our office unimpeded.
Powell says the woman returned the next day, but followed the rules after a conversation with him. He says even subtle pressure can make voters hesitant, especially in a race decided by just a few votes.
Prevents people from coming in and having open conversations with our people without us having to take them to a private room so that they can ask questions and feel comfortable with the answers.
Berger's camp says they've had lawyers present at the Rockingham and Guilford County Boards of Election to monitor the process. A spokesperson for Senate Leader Phil Berger's campaign says, quote, the Berger campaign has not engaged and will not engage in any of the voter intimidation activities that have been alleged or are being conducted. Caroline Yaffa, WRAL News, Raleigh.
And you can follow developments in this race and get in-depth coverage on all the other races over on the WRAL YouTube page. If you can believe it, there's even more going on tonight, so we want to get you caught up. These are the 5 things you should know right now. A Wake County deputy is expected to be okay after he was hit by a car. Sky 5 was over that scene there at a Sheetz on Jones Sausage Road in Raleigh. The sheriff's office says the deputy was trying to arrest a suspect for trespassing. The deputy pepper sprayed the suspect, who then got into a vehicle and tried to drive off, but hit the deputy with the car. That suspect is now in custody. The governor's office just announced $40 million in disaster relief across the state. A lot of that money will fund projects in western North Carolina, but it stretches to all corners of the state. Fayetteville is getting some money, actually, with help for flood mitigation there. Funding is also going to groups that help with disaster relief programs. UNC basketball star Caleb Wilson is out for the season. What a shocker. The Tar Heels are playing Duke tomorrow, the second edition of Battle of the Blues. The freshman broke his right thumb in practice while actually still recovering from a fracture in his other hand. Wilson was just cleared for individual work last week when this happened. Now he'll need surgery on that right hand. North Carolina has surpassed $13 billion in wagers since sports betting was first legalized here. $581 million of that was in February alone. Legal online sports betting launched in North Carolina 2 years ago next week. The February jobs report didn't look so good. It shows the U.S. economy lost 92,000 jobs last month. Many analysts had projected an increase. So today's report is a bit of a surprise. Unemployment jumped to almost 4.5%. By now, you've probably seen the no right on red signs filling downtown Raleigh. The city installed those a couple of years ago, and it appears that they are working. This is all about improving pedestrian safety down there. WRAL Investigates dug into the numbers, and that's exactly what has happened. The full analysis is on WRAL.com, but tonight, the Investigates team shows us what else is changing downtown to keep that momentum going. Here's WRAL's Sarah Kruger.
All of these changes slowly rolling out are the result of a state employee who was hit and killed while walking in a crosswalk downtown in 2019. So still, 7 years later, that tragedy is very much in focus for city leaders as they work to try to prevent anything else like it from happening.
It's a vulnerable population that we want to try to protect.
Sean Driscoll is talking about pedestrians. He's the city of Raleigh's Vision Zero manager, whose goal is to cut down on crashes that cause death or serious injury.
Do you feel like overall pedestrians are safe in downtown Raleigh?
Yes, I do. Definitely safer now.
Safer now after the improvements WRAL Investigates told you about yesterday. The no right on red signs and the speed limit reduction downtown that the city data shows has resulted in a 45% drop in pedestrian crashes. Driscoll says those changes were phase 1. Now phase 2 is in the works.
So phase 2 is the construction of 13 raised crosswalks at existing mid-block intersections around downtown.
And what is the significance of raising the crosswalk? Why does that work?
Yeah, raised crosswalks, it brings more visibility to the pedestrians for the vehicles. It lowers the speed, so if there is a crash, it will happen at a slower speed.
They'll also be making design changes at 25 intersections downtown, installing plastic pipes like these.
So what that does is it tightens the turning radius for vehicular traffic, forcing vehicles to make those turning movements slower, and it also shortens crosswalk distances.
The phase 2 changes are in the design phase, so pretty early on. This is an example of what the raised crosswalks will look like. This is near Broughton High School. The downtown changes should be complete in the next 18 months or 2 years. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News in Raleigh.
We tell you all the time, right, that we want your questions about the stories that we do in this newscast. And tonight, we came up with a new little segment to answer them. After a week of politics and elections news, we pulled some of your questions about this. And after the break, we are going to put our NC Capitol team to the test to see if they can answer them. Mike?
And we've been warming up for the past few days. Finally at a record high today of 84. The old record 82 set back in 1967. We've got more record warmth on the way and the threat for severe weather this weekend. I'll outline all that coming up.
So we got email after email after email about our election coverage. Great questions from all of you at home writing into us at 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Many of you are impressed, as am I, with our stellar NC Capitol folks. We have a great team of journalists in that group, but I couldn't stop thinking, who's the best, right? Who's the champion of that group? And what better way to answer your email questions than with a little challenge, a little game of Inbox Challenge. Good evening and welcome to Inbox Challenge. I'm your host, Dan Haggerty, joined by our two contestants tonight from the NC Capitol team, Paul Spey and Will Doran. We will be going through viewer questions in a speed lightning round. When you know the answer, raise your hand. You'll be called upon. Whoever has the most points wins a very special prize. Let's get started. First, how much money was spent on the Burger Page race?
Ooh, I know this. There's at least $10 million that's been spent, and that's just on the burger side. Page has spent over $1 million as well, and that's sort of unprecedented in a legislative race.
Correct. Next question. What if a race is too close to call? Will?
Well, exactly what we're happening right now in this Burger Page race. They're going to count all of these provisional ballots. They might go to recount, and eventually the lawyers might get involved.
Correct again. Question number 3. Will Republicans appoint a new Senate leader if Burger loses? Paul?
Oh, I know this. This year, they do not have to appoint a new Senate leader. It'll likely still be Burger. He has the rest of his term to serve out. That happens at the end of the year. Next year is when, if Burger loses, they'll probably appoint someone new.
Very good. Question 4. Why is it illegal to photograph your ballot? Will?
Well, we don't want politicians buying votes. If they tell people, vote for me and I'll pay you, then they need some proof, right? So that's why we have this law saying that you can't photograph your ballot.
A real nail-biter. Last question. Are any numbers being kept on how many voters are being turned away because of photo ID? Will?
Yes, and we don't know the answer yet because of this exact process we're talking about with this Burger Page race. The counties are in the process of figuring out who they will turn away and who they won't, but probably by next week we will know how many are going to be turned away for not having ID.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner, and your very special prize tonight, an autographed thank you and congratulations from the host of tonight's show, Dan Haggerty.
Thanks, Dan, but I'm good.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Keep those emails coming, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Your questions, comments, and feedback push this entire newscast, and they might be featured in the next nail-biting segment of Inbox Challenge. Smart questions to smart reporters.
How do you get past that bruised ego?
You know, I'm okay, actually. Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised that Will didn't want that. Not many people do.
Oh.
Little tear right there.
You're fine.
Mike, I'm looking forward to some beautiful weather this weekend.
Yeah, and we needed the air conditioning today.
Yeah.
I had mine out on the patio, manual air conditioning. We had 84 out at RDU today. We got 2 more opportunities for record warmth. We're forecasting 85 at RDU on Tuesday. The old record is 81. Fayetteville, I don't think you folks will have a record. The record on Tuesday goes back to 1974, but the one on Wednesday goes all the way back to 1925. We're forecasting 86. The previous record is 85. And then after that, we go back to normal thanks to a cold front. Right now, it's warm. Dog walks this evening are going to be great if you're going to get your steps in. The dew point's way up there. It feels a little humid out. It will feel that way the entire weekend and all next week, too. And close to home, anywhere from 73 at Wake Forest and Chapel Hill, 72 in Cary, 74 right now in Fuquay Varina. So our ridge of high pressure did its job, kept it warm today. It'll do the same for tomorrow. It will begin to break down and allow this cold front to make its way into the area on Sunday and also on Monday. But this warm front up here produced some tornadoes in Michigan. There was some damage. We'll try to get some video for you later on tonight on our newscast at 10 and 11. There were multiple touchdowns, and there are tornado watches in effect throughout the Plain States. This front shifts eastward closer to us tomorrow, but the threat for severe weather should be less. We're talking about a level 1 threat for severe storms in our mountains and foothills tomorrow with damaging winds and perhaps some hail. For us on Sunday, we are now in a level 1 threat. I mentioned last night that it didn't look like we'd have much in the way of a severe threat. And if that changed, I'd let you know. Well, that is new for this afternoon. Damaging winds can't be ruled out and hail, but this would happen on an isolated basis. So I don't think it's going to be widespread, and it's not a tornado setup. So at this point, I'm not too concerned about that. So here's Futurecast for Sunday morning. We start the day with clouds and rain and mild temperatures in the mid 60s, maybe a little bit of a break at lunchtime, and then later in the afternoon, a few more showers and storms form. There are other high resolution models that have more rain coming in Sunday night and Monday morning. This does not show that. I'll have a new model run tonight at 10 on Fox 50 and 11 here on WRAL. By 7 o'clock on Sunday, we're still warm. The front moves on by. Could be a little cooler in the morning on Monday, and then we warm back up for that Tuesday and also on Wednesday, as I told you. So morning clouds, we'll see an extensive overcast, I believe, to start the day. By the time we get to lunchtime, we should start to see sunshine. 62 the low tonight in Raleigh, 62 Fayetteville, 57 in South Hill. And then after the clouds burn off, it'll end up being partly cloudy like it was this afternoon. It will be warm, it will be humid, it will be breezy, a southwest wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. If the clouds tend to linger longer into the lunchtime hour, it may be hard to get to 82, but it will still be a very warm day. And the record high tomorrow is 85, so I don't think we're going to be in jeopardy of tying or even breaking that. Don't forget, we have the time change Saturday night before we go to bed. The clocks go forward an hour, 78 Sunday, 78 Monday. There are the rain chances, 50% on Sunday, 60% Sunday night. 40% on Tuesday, and then our front Wednesday night and Thursday brings more rain. Cooler temperatures, that high of 75, likely to happen around midnight. We could hover in the 50s and 60s throughout the day. And Dan, check out that 38 on Friday morning. Break out the jackets again.
Yeah, might feel good after this warm-up. Thank you, Mike. Another Battle of the Blues is set for this weekend, and that means all the time that students spent living at K-ville is about to pay off. Duke students have been doing this for 40 years now. We went back about 30 to find a K-ville story in the WRAL archive. A moment of nostalgia after the break. 7,264 callers took advantage of the 5 on Your Side's Lawyers on Call event today. If you missed your chance to call, you can find legal sources right now on WRAL.com. For 40 years, Duke students have pitched tents and camped out outside of Cameron Indoor. They wait for weeks, even months, to get the best seats for the Battle of the Blues. The Blue Devils and the Tar Heels face off again this weekend, and it is pretty remarkable that students have been doing this K-ville thing for 40 years. WRAL has been covering it for about that long, too. And we want to share a story about K-ville that we found in the WRAL archive from 1998. Thank you for watching WRAL News at 7 o'clock. Have a great, fantastic weekend as we leave you with this, your Friday moment of nostalgia.
The 1,500 undergrads camping out for the big game have been joined by an equal number of their classmates who are just out to party.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
We spoke with one student who built an actual shanty, complete with a disco ball. He's been here in Krzyzewskiville since early January to make sure he gets tickets to the Duke-UNC rematch.
This is unfathomable. It's gone so fast, just the whole semester in general.
Even in this decidedly pro-Duke crowd, you still find a few UNC students nutty enough to hang out with the Cameron crazies.
Yeah, I think that the mob behind me, it's pretty intimidating.
Students actually got to go into Cameron Indoor Stadium for a pep rally with Coach K. The media is traditionally shut out because the content isn't rated G.
Get a T.O., baby!
Across campus, a Dickie V-a-thon took place with a contest to see who could best imitate the famous basketball analyst.
Oh, baby, it's awesome, baby! Mr. Brand, where are you, Mr. Brand?
And I know the Dookie fans are going to be ready to explode. That'll be rock and roll, baby.
Over in Chapel Hill, Tar Heel fans say don't let the sedate streets fool you.
We're just saving it up. We're just saving it up to blow it out and rush Franklin Street again when we smoke them.